Hey guys, welcome back to another Jerry Deals video. I'm here to talk to you guys about Spirit Airline. What? Yes, that's right. You hear it. Representing the big yellow bus. So, no, but seriously though, Spirit is a deal. I don't know why people be talking bad about Spirit. Spirit is a good deal. I'm not trying to convince myself, I'm trying to convince you. Before I go into details of why I think Spirit is a good deal, let's talk about the suggestions that I created for you to follow when booking a Spirit flight. So I wrote them down because I don't remember stuff. Here's a couple of suggestions. When booking a Spirit flight, keep those in mind. Book the flight at a decent price. Make sure you check different airlines to really see if the flight that you're getting is at a decent price. That's one. Second, make sure you upgrade your seat. There's two ways of doing that. You could do it right at purchase, or you could bid on the seat afterwards to really see if you could get it at a better price. Second suggestions. Third suggestion, just bring a personal item. Don't worry about doing like a carry-on. Don't worry about a check-in bag. Just bring a personal item. Make things cheaper for you as Jerry Deals. And fourth, last not least, or fourth or fifth, whatever it is, 2 hours or less flight. Don't do more than that. 2 hours or less, okay? I think longer flights, it's not that comfortable. Those seats don't recline. It's just not that comfortable. So keep those in mind. All right. So now we get the suggestions out the way. Let's talk about my personal experience with Spirit, right? So what is my personal experience with Spirit? So my first flight that I took with Spirit, I remember, was in 2007. A group of us was making our first, I don't know, boys trip or whatever you could call it. And I had a part-time job at the time, and we were booking our flight. And I remember my flight only being like $100 and something. I was amazed. I had no problem paying for it. But, being young, didn't know how to travel right. It ended up being a little bit more because I brought a whole check-in bag for like 2-3 days to go to Atlanta. I had like a whole bunch of clothes for no reason. So I was like, yeah, this being a little costly, but it was still cheaper than what I remember. So I think I ended up paying like close to like $250 with everything. And it was a connecting flight too, because back then Spirit didn't have a lot of flights going a lot of places. So I left from Fort Lauderdale Airport to go to Orlando. We stopped at Orlando, pick up some more people, and from Orlando to Georgia. It was the weirdest thing happened. I'm like, okay, cool. But I didn't mind it at all because it wasn't that expensive. But I remember one thing though. When that plane was taking off, it feels like I was hearing a muffler in the back of the plane because it felt really, really cheap. But I know what I was getting myself into. I was like, oh shoot, this plane about to break down because it was making a lot of noise, right? But I didn't mind it. My first flight with my own money, not my first flight, but my first flight with my own money. Okay, so don't get it twisted. I flew before. But if that experience wasn't the best experience, why am I still recommending it years later? My first flight with Spirit was in 2007. Well, in 2024, I'm still recommending it. Because of the price, people. Like, some of the best price that they have, I think, especially flying somewhere for a short period of time, you should definitely book Spirit. So I flew a lot of places. I went to Denver. I went to different states. And the flight that was less than 2 hours from where I live currently, it was really good, man. So I wouldn't mind flying with them again. Now, for longer flights, I wouldn't recommend it because then, I don't know, it's just not that comfortable for me. But for a shorter flight, I don't think it's that bad. Now, I know a lot of people talking about delays. Yes, sometimes they do have delays. So that's why I said for 2 hour flight, something that's not urgent, it's okay for you to have a delay, especially when it comes to Spirit. But anything else, I think they're really good at it. Now, the first thing I mentioned, make sure you book your flight at a decent price. Sometimes I'll be looking, they'll be having like round trip flights for $50, $60, $65. I mean, it's not bad just going somewhere for a weekend. But now, when you find a flight that is that cheap, what I recommend for you to do, upgrade your seats, right? So there's two ways for you to do it. Right then they could upgrade your seat. Like the big plush seat in the front is like $65, I think. Then the rest are between 30 to 40, and some of them are cheaper than that, right? I don't upgrade my seat right then. I usually wait until I get closer to my flight, like maybe a week out or a couple of days before I start bidding. And a lot of time when I bid, I win. So here's a quick scenario. I was going to Florida in January to go to a sneaker show, right? I found a flight ticket for like $80, right? Then to upgrade my seat, the first seat was like $65. I said, I'm not paying $65 for it. But the flight wasn't full. So what I did, I waited maybe a day or two before the flight. I bid on it. And I bid like $16. I said, I'm not paying more than $16 for this seats, right? I bid and I won. And those chairs, those big old seats usually go for $65. I got it for $16. So in total, I paid $96 for that flight, right? Now, Jerry, you might ask, so, well, what did you do on your way back? Same thing. I bid on a seat, and I think I bid $20 because the flight was a little bit more packed. So I bid $20. I didn't get the big plus seat. I got the seat right after the big plus seats. And that's what I'm telling you, like, some people in Spirits are really, really nice. One of the flight attendant was able to book, like literally make me sit in the front. Like, it's like, hey man, you look uncomfortable. There's not a lot of people here. He pulled me to the side. He act like he charged me money, but he didn't really charge me anything. And I sat in the front where those seats usually cost $65. I mean, to me, I feel like that is a win. But you have to deal with that. That doesn't always work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So make sure you're flexible with that. Now, another thing that I did mention, I said bring a personal item. If you bring a personal item, they don't charge you for it, which I think this is a good deal, right? But if you want a type of person, I always have to bring a carry-on with you wherever you go. This is not for you. I'm going to be totally honest with you. This is not for you. It can be for you because if you look at the price of the ticket and look at the price of a carry-on, it could still be cheaper than the competitions. But I don't know. I'm a big believer of personal item. I feel like if you're traveling for less than 3 days or even 4 days, you could have a carry-on. You could have everything you need. I'm sorry, a personal item. You could have everything you need inside of a personal item. So fit yourself in a personal item just to save some money, man. So I remember I was going to Dallas, a quick trip to Dallas. Like, it was only for like 3 days. I brought a personal item and I flew in Spirit, and it was so cheap. And it wasn't bad at all. I didn't really have to bring a whole carry-on with me because I was not going to pay for the carry-on, one. And two, the personal item had everything that I needed in it. I brought 2 pairs of shoes and had clothes to go out at night, clothes to go out in dinner, and clothes to chill during the day. You just learn how to pack better, people, just to save some money, especially when flying with Spirit, right? Now, why do I say 2 hours or less? Not a lot of time, most of the seats doesn't recline. And I'm not going to lie to you, it kind of wears on your body. And the cushion that they have in the seats, there's no cushion. It's like bare bone. You just sit in a folding chair, to be honest. Sometimes that's how I feel. That's why I say 2 hours or less, you're good, right? If you're flying longer, I would suggest a better airline that way. But I feel like for a shorter flight, you want to save some money, why not? So my flight to Dallas, when I was looking at American Airlines, JetBlue, Delta, they were like $300 something. Then I was like, it's not that bad. But when I did my flight for Spirit, it was like 112 or 120 for a round trip price. I was like, why not? And I upgraded my seat. It was still less than $200. For me, I feel like that's better than flying $300 something for just going to Dallas. So 2 hours or less, not a problem. The mistake that I did when I was trying to go to California and I booked Spirit, that was the most uncomfortable flight for me. Like, it was like a 5-hour flight. First of all, the first flight got delayed or something happened, got canceled. Then we got bumped into the next flight. I'm like, okay, cool. Then I didn't want to go upgrade my seat. This was a couple of years ago. It's like maybe 2015. So my leg was literally killing me because I was like sitting in the back of someone, but I couldn't get up. I couldn't stretch my legs, and the seat doesn't recline. It was horrible. The ticket was cheap, but I paid it with my body, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. And my wife will not let me do that again either. So I'm not doing that again. But reality is, me myself, I want to do it again. So no, sitting for that long for me is not that comfortable. Now, certain, they do fly everywhere. And I see they fly to Colombia, South America. They have more flights now than they had in the past. But still, their plane to me is not the most comfortable plane. So for me to kind of explain to you why I say stick to that 2 hour wonder with them, I kind of give you an example, and hopefully you guys kind of understand this example where I'm coming from. If not, I'll give you another example. It is what it is, right? I used to work for a school in Miami, and we used to do trips with the kids that was working at the school. So if we're taking a short trip, like to the museum, to a basketball game that was like maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes away, there are school bus companies that we actually used to rent. Those school bus companies were really cheap because, you're just going down the street, which is not that bad. But those school bus, I have not been in a school bus in a very long time. I actually never rode the school bus even when I was going to school. The school bus is not that comfortable. It's really not. Those seats are not comfortable, and the shocking's not comfortable. I don't know. And those school bus drivers, the way they drive, anyways, it was not the most comfortable ride, but it was the cheapest for what we're trying to do. So we use the school bus system, all the time. So it wasn't bad. But when we were taking those trips to Orlando to go to those theme park, or Tallahassee for something else, any longer trip was to take, we used to rent out the coach bus. Now those coach bus, let me tell you, big difference. Reclined seats, AC, it's just beautiful. So we use those for the longer trips, and it makes a big difference. There were more money, but it just made a big difference. Even though those school buses, they did have this long trip if you wanted to take it with them, but nobody want to sit in those uncomfortable ride for that long. So hopefully you kind of get what I'm trying to say. Spirit is kind of like the school bus. That's why they have the same color. The big school bus that's flying. Okay? It's cool. It's not bad for what it is for. 2 hour flight, an hour flight, 30-minute flight. Get your Spirit flight, right? But if you're flying international, if you're flying 4 or 5 hours, please do yourself a favor. Get a better airline. Get your American airline. Get you some JetBlue. Get you some Delta. Get whatever you want to get that have better plush seats, because you're going to save your back, you're going to save your body, and you're going to feel way more comfortable. But for a shorter flight, you're flying 2 hours, an hour and a half, or maybe 2 hours and a half, I think it's worth it just for you to do Spirit, especially if it is a short flight. So keep that in mind. So remember, book your flight as a decent price. Sometimes you could find flight cheaper, like $50, $60, $70. Make sure you upgrade your seat. Pick your seat, okay? Don't be that cheap. Pick your seat. And I think it's better that way. And third, make sure you just bring a personal item. If it's a short trip, just bring a personal item and call it a day. Be willing to be flexible in your time also. You might get delay of flight, but to be honest, for the time I've been flying Spirit from 2007 to 2024, I only had one delay of flight and one cancellation. Literally, that's that only time when I was going to California. I know some people out there have bad experience, so not me. My experience wasn't that bad. And last but not least, make sure it's like a 2 hour flight or less. The longer flight, you're going to start feeling it in your body. I don't know if any of you guys have more experience. Feel free to leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys more and more about this. But I'm a big believer in Spirit, especially for what it is for. It's for smaller trip. It's the school bus that flies, okay? For the small trips that you're taking, okay? So, but for the longer trips, do yourself a favor, get a better airline. But I like me some Spirits, and hopefully you do also. And if you have any experience, don't forget to, comments below. Let's talk about it. So, this is it, man. This is what I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like it, subscribe it, tell a friend to tell a friend. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one, man. Please, let me know. Jerry Dill Stamp, Spirit. And look at me. I'm wearing yellow. I purposely wear yellow because I want to talk about Spirit, okay? Anyways, guys, I'm out. Deuces.